Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Unfortunately, another long-awaited episode here, as we're going to get into some draft talk on the In Between the Sticks podcast. Of course, myself, Kale, along with Drew and Austin here with me. I'm going to talk some Titans, going to talk a little bit of other teams, and we're excited to get into it. Real quick, if you have been enjoying what you're listening to, please do subscribe, like, leave a comment, kind of tell us what you're hearing, what you thought about the draft. If you're a Titans fan, if you're not a Titans fan, we'd be happy to hear that and all the opinions you have, because Lord have we heard them from everybody before the draft, and now that it's over, there's just a lot going on, and finally a lot of meat on the bone to talk about football wise. So really excited about that. But yeah, keep listening, keep sharing, and then let us know if you want us to talk about anything else. To kind of get things going here and start off, I wanted to just hit a couple of things. Obviously, the major thing that happened, probably the biggest thing that has happened before the draft for the Titans in terms of adding to the roster was Tyler Lockett, adding veteran receiver Tyler Lockett, who fits the bill of what we've been doing so far in terms of leadership, durability. Bro has barely missed any games in his whole career. And so that's kind of like a theme at this point. Like, I don't know if that's just something that Borgonzi wanted. I mean, I don't see how everybody doesn't want it, but also knowing the organization he came into and how freaking terrible it's been with injuries the last few years. So fits right into that bill. Great veteran leader. As you saw, he was already shouting out all of our draft picks. So I'm excited about that. I didn't want to go in with him being our the number two. I think he will probably kind of start that way in terms of maybe production, but hopefully one of these young guys can potentially take over. And then, of course, George Kittle got a fat contract, which I think happened right after the draft. So he'll stick with the 49ers there. And it sounds like they're fixing to break the bank for Brock Purdy, too. Big things happening over there. Also, while I'm thinking about that, shout out to our boy from the hometown, Jordan James, getting drafted by the 49ers. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Growing up knowing him, friends with him. So a lot of good things there. It's going to be pretty cool for him to run behind Christian McCaffrey, and hopefully he gets some opportunities there. I don't know.
He will, because McCaffrey can't stay healthy. So, if there's anyone that's going to get a chance,
and his backup, Jordan Mason, got hurt last year. Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen.
And then his backup, Garendo, got hurt too. So, they're going through the blender of running back. So, he's going to get a chance. He's going to get a chance.
What a position to go into your rookie year, being able to sit behind arguably one of the best running backs of the past decade. So, and especially with how Jordan got used at Oregon in the past game and in the run game, who else better to learn from than arguably the best running back doing that?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's just a great system for a running back. I mean, as good as they have been throwing and utilizing, they love the run game. I mean, they established the run game. They're kind of like what we wish we would have had with the type of coach that Vrabel was. Like, we can really run the ball effectively, but they still find a way to throw it down the field as well. So, yeah, excited for him, and hopefully that goes well. But to get into ours, obviously the least of the surprises was the first pick, and it kind of just felt like we could breathe a little bit finally and stop worrying about it, stop talking about it, and we go Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. And it's a big deal. I mean, we haven't had a reason to be this excited, in my opinion, arguably since Marcus, what we thought Marcus could be when we drafted him out of Oregon. And so it's going to be exciting. We can kind of hit these a little bit as we go. I'm just going to roll through the names here, and then we can kind of hit some key points about them.
Before we get to that, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Cam Ward, everybody knew he was going to be the number 1 pick. I mean, it was as the way the last month went before the draft.
I mean, it was like a week and a half, not even a week and a half, maybe like a week before the draft when our staff came out and said, no, we're not trading.
Yeah, but for
basically
for the
it's
month,
been a possibility that we could have traded.
Basically for the last month, the way they handled everything, the whole staff and everybody in the whole building flying out to see his pro day, and then Amy Adams private jetting all the way to see him. Like, once you started hearing stuff like that, you're like, okay, this guy's locked in.
That's where the phrase "actions speak louder than words" comes into play there.
Well, and that was a month out of the draft, and everybody then was chalking it up. Okay, Cam Ward's the guy, and at that point, it was no longer is Cam Ward the pick. It was then, are the Giants going to offer enough for them to say, okay, we can't not pass this up? And the trade, I mean, if what Adam Schefter is true, I don't know if I can pull up the trade package right now, but what he said,
if Schefter's tweeted it, it's true.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But if what he said is true, and the trade offer they did send to us, I mean, it was a haul. Like, that shows how much they fell in love with Cam Ward the last like 2 weeks to a month before the draft. Because I think if it was really any other quarterback and a lot of other players on the board, I mean, we took it. I mean, we take it. Like, the fact they offered, what was it? It was a swap this year in first round, their second round this year, their first rounder next year, and their second round next year. And then, like, I think there was a third and something else. Like, it was a ton of picks. It was something insane. And it fell in line with what Titans fans all along were saying. If they offer this, you have to take it. But when they offered it, it was too late. You know what I mean? I feel like if that offer would have been on the table a month before the draft, before Bergonzi, before Callahan all fell in love with Cam Ward at the pro day and post pro day, I think there's a good chance that we would have traded back. I think that the Giants waited too long to offer that specific trade. It was too late. It was too late.
I hear what you're saying on that, but I also slightly disagree because I think that Borgonzi and his crew, especially with Brinker and Callahan, I don't think that they pull the trigger on accepting a trade before they do their homework anyway. So they still could have fell in love with Cam, which clearly they did. I mean, that's why we would turn down something like that. But could it have potentially, it would have been in their minds for longer. So I think it definitely would have been more possible, like you're saying. So it's hard to say, but I still think based on the interaction we've had with Cam, I think that's the biggest reason why. It wasn't because that wasn't good enough. I think it's because they realized what Cam could be, and it's like we just can't pass on it.
Yeah. To back your point even more, Kel, I forget bro's name, but he's on the morning show. Excuse me.
Is it?
But he was on Pat McAfee's Draft Spectacular.
Oh, it's probably Kyle Brandt.
No, it wasn't him. It's the other white dude.
Peter Schrager?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was on there, and he said that after we picked Cam Ward, said that our brass, so Brinker, Callie, Bergonzi, all the guys sat there and over the past couple weeks to a month, however long it was, I can't remember what he said, flew back and wanted to go, obviously, basically retrace his steps, figure out, they know Cam the player, right? There's only so much film you can watch before you already kind of see what you want to see. And so they retraced his steps. They flew all the way to Incarnate Word, talked to everybody that was involved with Cam there, trying to figure out who he is, what kind of teammate was he, all this kind of stuff. Then from there, they flew to Washington State to go talk to the players or the coaching staff and everybody else there to do the same thing. And then they flew all the way and talked to people at Miami to do all the same thing. And all of it came out squeaky clean. Same, that this is a locker room guy. This is a leader. This is a guy that doesn't have an ego, right? You know what you're going to get with him each and every day, that kind of thing. And I think that moment, because Borgonzi came out and said we knew that he was going to be the pick 3 weeks ago before the draft. We knew we were taking Cam. And I think, like Austin's point, I don't think we would have took a trade before the draft, obviously.
Oh, no.
I mean, it could be on the table, but we weren't going to accept it till the draft night. I think even that offer, or maybe one little less, was probably already in play. But once they figured out who Cam was as a player and as a person and what he can bring to the locker room, and one thing that we can get into, I know in these next couple picks, is something that they're looking for in people that can change the culture of this team. It's like Borgonzi said in his interview, there's no price to trade a franchise quarterback. There's none. And they think they found theirs.
Yep. And to make a counterpoint to that, more so my point was there's a different way that you go about things and the circumstances that you were put in. So when they're going through the process, like you said, going to Incarnate Word, going to Miami, going to Washington State, they're talking to people, talking to former players, talking to coaches, saying, okay, is this guy worth the pick? Right? They're trying to find out if he was worth the number 1 overall pick. It's what I was saying is if that Giants offer was on the board a month prior to them doing all that stuff and how juicy it was, it's like, okay, is he worth passing up on this? Right? Yeah. Because that's where the argument changes. It's no longer, is he worth the number 1 pick? It's, is he worth passing up on all of this? That is what I was trying to say. Do I think he was worth the number 1 pick? Absolutely. I'm so glad we went Cam Ward, and we can try to figure out our quarterback situation. I was just saying that the decision was made for them when the Giants waited so long to offer this great potential trade because they'd already fallen in love with Cam Ward. It was too late.
Like the way less thought was going to be put into that, what they offered.
And that's just the one trade we heard of. There was multiple teams trying to come up. That's just the one trade package that we heard from Schefter. So this is where all, past month, past month and a half, 2 months, whatever, lead up to the draft, all you heard was Titans fans, Titans media, trade back, get more picks. Cam might not be worth number 1 pick. He'd be quarterback 5 or whatever number you want to put him in last year's draft, all this other kind of stuff. But yet you still have 4 teams trying to come up and draft him. That has to say something, right? And I think that's because, like I said, you have the talent, but then you got the person. And the talent only shows up on Sundays. The person stays in there every other week, every other day that you're in there trying to build a team.
I think another reason too, and people aren't going to talk about it right now, but it'll be a huge talk of the town next year, is Cam Ward's better than the quarterbacks coming in next year. You know what I mean? So it's like you're sitting here looking at it right now, or you're looking at who the quarterbacks are coming in next year. Like, okay, well, we don't want to trade up for Cam Ward, or we don't want to stick and pick Ward at 1. Your options next year at 1 are worse. You know what I mean? You got Arch Manning, who hasn't played a snap, basically.
As of now.
Yeah,
Like, there's potential in a lot of these guys.
There's potential. For sure. But as of right now,
I'm curious to see this college season, but like you're saying.
It'll be interesting. But as it stands right now, Arch Manning, who even knows if he's even going to go? If he comes, he hasn't even really played at Texas. So if he comes out and has a bad season, guess what? He ain't going. Nico, who knows? Those are really your top 2 guys at the moment. There's no one else. Carson Beck stinks. Like he's never going to be a first overall pick. Like
then you're starting to look at guys, and you're probably reaching a little bit in terms of we don't know what they're going to do yet. Honestly, the way things are going, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Cade Klubnik finds himself atop of the class next year.
Penn State kid too.
Yeah,
Drew Aller. Yeah. I mean, so you just don't know what you're going to get.
And Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU guy, like those
Garrett
are going to be
Nussmeier. He might be the one.
Those are going to be your quarterbacks up there, and like mind you, none of those guys are anywhere near Cam Ward's level.
No, like, look at what Cam Ward has proven, and that's a great point you make there. This is what I wanted to say too before we move on about these other picks too, because I know Cam Ward is obviously going to be most of what we're talking about. But keep okay, let me back up because there's so many thoughts in my head right now. The moment that we drafted Cam at 1, you really had to think hard about it because they didn't show it very much.
They didn't. That's crazy.
You really got to go back in the brain and remember that because, bro, Roger Goodell, bless him, was about halfway through Cameron Ward's last name when they were like, Jesus, we got something going on with Travis Hunter and blah. I'm like,
that trade is crazy, but you
made it to the hug yet, bro. And we're talking about everybody else.
And then they started showing Shedeur highlights like mid. It's like what the heck?
We watched Shedeur for how many hours? I mean, days. And we don't have to get into that yet. We will, but it's just wild. And so my point is, this is what happens with Cam. There's no drama to talk about. There's no this. There's no that. There's no. He's not that Shedeur Sanders egotistical famous dad. All this stuff going on. You just can't I don't know. I think people are just not very intrigued. Like, yeah, he's good. And also the fact that you pair him with going to the Titans, people just don't give a crap. So, but my point is, keep throwing all of that stuff at Cam Ward and watch what happens. Because that's all that he's gotten his entire life. We're talking about a kid that has grown up in a great competitive family, all this stuff, 0-star recruit out of high school, where a high school that barely threw the ball. I mean, we're probably looking at freaking Ezell Harding, run the ball every play. And then you go to Incarnate Word and you get better and you get better and people start to see that arm talent. And then you go to Wazoo and you get better and everywhere he goes, he makes it better and doesn't complain, doesn't say anything. He's confident, but he's not cocky. And I'm telling you, he is going to get better and take it personal more and more, and he won't tell you. You'll just see it randomly, throughout the year. Oh, look at Cam Ward, So I'm not going to sit here and predict Rookie of the Year. I'm not going to put all that on him. I think he's definitely capable. I just want people to keep talking because he truly could care less.
I mean, I think as a whole,
he's been an underdog his whole life.
As a whole, and I think y'all might agree with me, I don't know. Bro, was it just me, or was this draft one of just the weirdest drafts to ever watch?
Weird.
I mean, it wasn't just Cam, by the way, that barely got shown. I mean, this whole new structure that they went to from showing them, I mean, half the time you're just watching them walk out to the freaking stage, and then once they hit the stage, we're showing a 8-minute sappy video we created beforehand instead of showing the interviews on stage like they've done for years and what everybody loves the draft for. We didn't see anybody's suits that they get the show on stage. Nothing.
We got to see them hit the team logo down the hallway, and that's about it.
It was just such a weird draft, and such also like the location. I mean, the crowd got cut off because the stadium is literally right there behind it. Like that, it just none of it made sense.
Well, that's Green Bay. I mean, it's literally like in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, you could have done it somewhere else.
Yeah. The weirdest thing to me too was, and this goes back to the Cam thing, like they spent more time, which is cool, but they spent more time talking about those handcrafted signs for every team that were in that hallway. Somebody made those and spent hours upon hours making, and they look cool. Like it's cool, but they talked about that more than they talked about the dang Cam Ward pick. I'm
first
like, this is the first freaking pick in the draft.
The first 0-star recruit to ever get picked number 1 overall. The dude has been
crazy.
If you want to talk about a story to put up there on the screen, we watched so many sad stories between so many players that grew up with in many different, lifestyles and childhoods of everyone else, and there were a lot of sad stories. And you mean to tell me the guy that's been the underdog his whole career, a 0-star recruit, goes to Incarnate Word? I think I saw a stat that he had 800 passing yards his senior season of high school football. And the underdog every single season has been better and has gotten better every season and has made every place he's been to better every season.
Elevates it. Absolutely.
I mean, he made Washington State. I mean, he put them on a map. I mean, truth be told, like who even cared about Washington State until Cam Ward?
That quality right there that you're talking about is the reason. I mean, obviously there's all these physical traits, everything that he could do. That's the reason that they fell in love with him, though. If you look at what Borgonzi has experienced, and even what they have experienced a little bit with Brinker, being a part of bringing in Jordan Love, I believe, and just even Callahan with when they brought in Joe Burrow, like, they see these types of guys, and it's a risk still because you never know how people are going to turn out. But Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, name off all of the best quarterbacks in the I almost said the country, in the NFL right now, and they all have this quality of, we want to win, we're going to do whatever it takes to do it, and they elevate their team. Why do these teams have a chance? Whenever their defense is sucking, whenever this is happening, because Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball for them, because Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and that's what they're I wouldn't say reaching, but that's what they're risking it on with drafting Cam Ward, because they see that in him. And so that's where we are, and that's where all of your hope can go as a Titans fan, because I mean, I'm on board. There's no reason not to be on board at this point.
How many times did you say over the past couple months that it's a quarterback driven league?
It is.
If you don't have
listen
quarterback,
to all the quarterbacks that I just said, we have to beat them.
Yeah. If it's just like you said, for the past 4 months, hitting the nail on the head here, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a quarterback, you are not going to compete. It doesn't matter how good your roster is, because if it mattered how good your roster is, the 49ers would have like 5 Super Bowls in the past 5 seasons, and they don't.
No kidding.
Because they have far had, and look at the Lions.
Yeah,
look at the
terrible.
Lions last year. Y'all know how I feel about Jared Goff. I mean, they from head to toe have one of the best rosters in the league. But the last 2 seasons, and they haven't won, and they have lost to inferior opponents. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's crazy. Literally, the 49ers have been the best team in the NFL for like 4 out of the last 6 seasons, and they have nothing to show for it. Like, that just goes to show that having an elite quarterback is going to get you further than having elite players all around the field. If you don't have that guy at quarterback, you are not winning. Unless you're the Eagles.
Yes.
Unless you're the Eagles.
And to round it all out, round your point out, I'll bring it back to the trade. I think you turn down that trade if you're the Titans brass because of what you just said, right? Mm-hmm. If you trade back, you trade with the Giants, you do the pick swap, go to 3, you take Carter, you get those extra picks. Maybe you take some extra edges, maybe take some extra receivers, safeties, corners, whatever you wanted to take, right? No matter who you got, you would still have Will Levis at your quarterback position. Mm. We would maybe still win the same amount, maybe even less games, and we'd be back in the same position next year.
And you'd be at a QB class that you know a lot less about and has shown a lot less than Cam Ward has.
Yes. And that front might look way worse. Like, they look way worse. No one has
get anywhere. Like Roller said, you will not get anywhere in the NFL, especially if you don't have the quarterback position locked up, and a good one. I mean, Lord, you look at perfect example, the Commanders, right? Jaden Daniels comes out, has a phenomenal rookie year, and you look at their total roster, and it's not, flying off the paper, but having that level of a quarterback, they were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Yeah. After taking a rookie quarterback. Because once you get that locked down,
they beat the Lions, didn't they?
They had a team, dude. They had a team, though.
They're the one that beat the Lions.
I can't look, I'll tell you this right now. There's a difference between the Commanders and a lot of other teams. The Commanders took an easy route to being a contender, and that is they made all the perfect 1-year signings that you possibly could have made. You signed Austin Eckler to a 1-year deal to be your RB2 behind Robinson to give him a break. One, you had Terry McLaurin, who was the most slept-on receiver in the league, and I've said that for years now. And the dude is just a 1,000-yard receiving yard demon, right? You signed Zach Ertz, veteran tight end, to go with your rookie quarterback. You signed Noah, or I guess they just had Noah Brown already on the team, maybe. Either way.
He was in Houston at one point, yeah.
Yeah. So, they signed some receivers to help out a little bit with your rookie quarterback. Their offensive line was dominant. I mean, we saw them. I mean, they made Jeffrey Simmons look like Keontae Coburn.
I mean, guys, this is a rookie quarterback, and they put up 45 points on the Lions in the NFC.
Well, and then on defense, they signed Frankie Louvu, linebacker, all-pro. They signed Bobby Wagner to a 1-year deal. Just re-signed him to another because he is that veteran leader that team needed. You know, they went out and traded for Marshawn Lattimore. He didn't have the greatest impact, but it got them an all-pro corner. You know what I mean? Like, they just made the right signings to make them an instant contender, and it all worked out in their favor. It didn't work out for the Titans last year. We signed a bunch of 1-year contracts last year with Rand, but we made the wrong sign. It didn't matter because we didn't have the quarterback. You know what I mean? So, that's where it all starts. It starts with the quarterback, but the Commanders just had a great team overall.
They were built. So it's hard not to keep going on all this because obviously we're a city that's very quickly falling in love with the idea of Cam Ward being our quarterback. And, you saw Warren Moon, bless him with the number. And there's just all these cool things going on. And there's so much reason to be excited about it. But to kind of move on here for the second time with our draft picks, you start, as we go through this, you kind of start to get an idea of what the Titans wanted to do, which they've been telling us. They want to build the foundation, build through the draft, and they supplement with, free agents or whatever as needed, which they have started. Borgonzi has done that since day one of being in this whole thing. And they have continuously done what they said they were going to do. So to go on with our second round pick, which ended up being 52, because we traded back with who was that? We traded back with
Seattle. Seattle traded up.
Yeah, Seattle. We traded back with them and got, instead of 35, we went all the way back to 52 and got picked up 82, which was big because we did need a third rounder, and I think it worked out well for us. So with 52, we went with the edge out of UCLA, Oluwafemi Oladejo, which he goes by Femi, thank goodness. I think I'm saying it right, but it's Oluwafemi Oladejo, which his last name's easier, but you'll get used to it. He is an edge with quite a bit of upside. This is the one pick. Like if I had to say one pick that I was a little bit skeptical on, just because it's hard. Drafting an edge is hard, just because it's like they can show this in college, but then it's going to be, how does it translate? Do they have counter moves to better offensive linemen? There's all this stuff, but I like it in terms of his measurables, and he recently switched and was pretty productive already. He switched from linebacker to edge, and they really like this guy, and they had a chance to move back, gain an extra top 100 pick, and still get the guy that they really liked. They met with him. I think he was on a 30 visit, so already had good rapport with him, and that's kind of where we're at on that one. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts. This is the one that I was like, I just don't know a ton about.
Yeah, I also think you got to remember at this time, Falcons traded back up into the first round to take James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, and I don't think a lot of teams were expecting that. And everybody had him, kind of top end second round, maybe falling a little bit to the meat of the second round potentially. But all in all, I think, like you said, this is a pick, and Bergonzi and them have already said it too. This is a guy that has super high motor, right? Even the biggest upside of potential for an edge rusher. I mean, there is a lot of people talking about this kid, saying that if he develops, this kid has the potential to be a superstar edge rusher.
And he had a really good Senior Bowl. That was one of the big things.
Yeah, and that's where they said that they fell in love with his tape, was all of his tape that he had from the Senior Bowl. I mean, like you said, he played 3 seasons at linebacker, just switched his past season to edge, so he has the 1 year under his belt. I was talking to Roller about it too the other day. This is a guy that, like I said, played linebacker. He's now moving to edge. Those packages you could run now with him being a linebacker, he's normal. He's familiar with being in coverage, right? If you need him to drop back in a coverage or something, he's not going to be a Harold Landry, cement feet, where do I go kind of guy, right? So
but they've also placed some good veterans in front of him that will help him learn.
Yeah, and he's not coming in to be.
He's not just going to come in. Like, I honestly felt like Rashad Weaver came in with a lot of pressure, because everybody kind of knew him as a potential high upside edge rusher guy.
It's also because he had a phenomenal rookie season, and then he just disappeared.
He had a great rookie season. I don't know what happened after that.
So, but I think that a lot of it comes from pressure and comes from, Harold Landry finally got back to himself and produced a little bit, but it's just one of those things. He doesn't come in with pressure. He comes in with let's take what you can have potentially and just learn from these veteran guys in front of you, and then he can take it over, and hopefully get a second contract. I mean, that's what we hope for all these guys.
And this one guy. I mean, he's one of the guys, but I think there's multiple guys in this draft, which also Titans fans, you got to be. This is not a oh my god, Titans are back. We're division leaders.
Yeah,
this
you
year.
can't expect the
Not a
1 year.
year.
It
This doesn't happen.
The guys that
very
we're
rare.
drafting, the vision we want to have for these guys and the future class next year, we want these guys to be the 20, coming into form in 2026, 2027, right? Like that's when we want them to be developed, full on,
ready to go,
playmakers,
ready to compete.
And I'm not going to say that they're not right now. Like, don't get me wrong. Rounds 1 through 3, you're expected to come out and produce.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, like you said, they got great leaders in front of him now that he's going to be able to go behind. I think this is also a very great pick for us in terms of, like I said, the long-term ability, because Arden Key's out of here next year on his contract.
Yep.
Maybe we bring it back, maybe we don't.
Draymond Jones 1 year as well.
Draymond Jones 1 year. So now, like, we can get this guy developed. He's going to be our guy, number one guy for the next 3-4 years.
I was a huge fan of this guy. I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and be a homer and say he's Micah Parsons. I'm not going to sit here and be a homer and say he's going to be an all-pro. But what I will tell you is this. He started his career at Cal. Obviously, it's been said as a linebacker. Then he transfers to UCLA, goes to edge rusher this season, produces some good numbers against some quality opponents like Penn State, and then obviously balled out in the Senior Bowl. What we see here, and what I have been preaching for years now about the Tennessee Titans, and it is the thing that has been killing us for years, is that we just have not been as athletic as other teams on the field. It's the speed, it's the athleticism, we have been drafting guys that are slugs on the field, right? Harold Landry post-injury is a snail, right? Arden Key is another story, but it's all across the field. It's every position. We've been drafting wide receivers that can't get open, that don't have speed, that don't have this, that don't have that. This is a guy that comes in with, he is the definition of athleticism. He's 6'3", 259 pounds, and he is so explosive and fast off the ball and runs such a good 40 and ran such a good 10-yard split. Like, this dude can move.
Which is what you need with
from
those
an edge
monsters
rusher
we have in the middle.
Especially in this 3-4 scheme that we run with the freaking Sweat-Simmons duo down there. We need a guy off the edge that can bring speed, athleticism, explosiveness that Harold Landry wasn't able to give the team last year, and it really hurt us in a negative way. I'm not saying this dude's going to come in and be automatically better than Harold Landry. That'd be a diss on Harold Landry, and Harold Landry was great for us for many years. But the dude has the potential, and that's the key word here is potential. The dude has potential, right? Abdul Carter played just this was his first season at edge. Obviously, he had way better of a season. He's a top 3 draft pick. There's a little bit of a difference between the two guys, but he's got all the athletic tools in the world. He just got to get better with his mechanics, right? Understanding the position better, but the potential is there, and that's the most important thing. And that's what's so exciting.
That's the thing. You can't teach athleticism. You can teach technique, but you can't teach being fast and being quick balls, quick twitch, all that kind of stuff. You can't teach that.
You also can't teach heart, man. Look up. I challenge you to look up videos of UCLA this past season, and you know who you're going to see in the middle of the huddle and every single clip pregame. You know who you're going to see freaking 5. I'm serious. Look it up. Look it up yourself. Look it up yourself. Who you're going to see at the UCLA the pregame? Who's in the middle of the huddle hyping the team up? Who before the defense goes onto the field? Who's hyping up the defense to go on the field? He's a leader.
Yep,
he's a leader.
I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad Drew, you said what you said just about, because this is the thing too, and they've addressed this over and over. Our brass team, they have talked about we're going to draft speed, we want to draft this, we want to draft that, but the other big things are high potential, high character, leader type guys that they're bringing in. Because look, in order to build through the draft, like they keep talking about, you are drafting your core, your young core and foundation that's going to set the pace for the next few years so that they can become the leaders as we're just adding year by year. So,
and to back
that's where we are. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Pretty much all of the guys that we drafted have been captains on their teams. And shout out Coach Mack on the OTP. Y'all need to go watch their post draft recap. He mentioned it. He's like, especially in today's age of transfer portal college football,
Mhm.
it says something about a guy being a captain here. He transfers somewhere else the next year and immediately becomes a captain there as well. And
Yep.
that can carry over to the NFL.
Yep, and that's another good point too, and I'll mention that because Callahan said it in a press conference about Cam. He did say I don't know if it's a press con. I think it was actually a podcast. He was talking about how, as unfortunate as as some things may be with the transfer portal in terms of, look at the Nico situation, stuff that's happened recently. One thing that we don't think about that is a positive in our case. Look at the information that we've been able to gather about Cam Ward, about how he has consistently been of high character. He's probably the most talented player on every team that he's been on in college, and he's the hardest worker. What does that show to the rest of the players and people in the facility? And so you look at stuff like that, and they're saying, well, Cam's already had experience with changing programs and having to learn this over again, having to learn teammates over again, and he immediately becomes an impact leader. We heard stories from Josh Pate. It was like day 2 on Miami's campus. He's out there doing player run practices, and he's like, it's like a dang, what do you say, like a military unit out there, and he's the one bossing everybody around.
He's
like,
ripping
in
in them,
way.
telling them that we're not good enough.
Yeah, he's like, and this is like, dude's been on campus like 48 hours, and so you can just tell they are building the foundation of this team, and I'm loving every bit of it. So the next one that I want to hit, and then we'll hit a few of them here in a row.
I'm ready for this one. I'm ready.
Yeah, the next one
This
is
is Austin's
one of
favorite.
my favorite picks of the draft.
This is my favorite pick. This is my favorite one.
I'm
by
not surprised.
far.
It doesn't surprise me knowing you.
I love
You're-
defense.
You're pretty defensive minded. So this is going to be at 82, and this is a steal because if it wasn't for I think he had a little bit of an ACL issue last year, and if it
Not a little
wasn't
bit.
for
He
that,
tore that thing.
they
It
said
tore.
he'd
It was a
probably
full
be-
tear.
He'd probably be late first round to early second round talent, and we
Yep.
got him.
Yeah.
We got him at 82 in the third round
Mhm.
with the trade that we got,
Yep.
which ended up being huge. We talked about that a few weeks ago in our last episode. Like, we wanted to pick up a third rounder, and the fact that we could get Cam Ward and still take that 35 and move back and get the third rounder was huge.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be safety from Penn State, which you hear the sound of that and you're like, okay, we're
You're like,
probably
that's
working
a
with something
defense school. That's a defense school
and
right
then
there.
his name is Kevin Winston Jr., and this kid's a baller. Already reminds me a lot of like Byard. Maybe not as much of the ball hawk type, but very good in run support, which is perfect to go along with
Mhm.
Hooker. So Austin, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go because
He calls himself. I'll tell you this. This is all you need to know. He calls himself K Missile. That's all you need to know about the guy. He literally calls himself K Missile. The dude is a freak of nature. Athletically, I mean, off the charts. He's
He's gonna come
6'1".
down and hit you.
He's 6'1" and a half. He's 215
thumper.
pounds as a safety. He's literally
Yeah, thumper.
like, if I were to give kind of a person to, I guess, give him a comparison to, probably like a Derwin James type, right?
Mhm.
He's great at coming up and hitting people, great at stopping the run, great at being in the box, great at
Yep.
covering some tight ends. Isn't the best at coverage. That's just what it is. He's not a coverage safety. He's not going to be the guy way in the back. Like, that's just not what he's
But
going to be.
I mean, typically you usually have one of each, and
Yep.
that's Hooker.
Yeah,
Hooker's
that's
our
Hooker.
ball
Yeah,
hawk
exactly.
coverage guy.
Who needs to be extended?
Who needs to be
Yes.
extended. He does.
Yeah.
But I want you to listen to this. So, I mind you, this dude just tore his ACL. He tore it in week 2,
Yep.
I believe.
I know what you're gonna talk about.
He tore it in week 2 of this past season. Missed the whole season, basically. His athletic score is 4th in the whole class for the safety position. His total score, his total ranking was 5th for the whole safety position in the class. And we got him at 82 in the third round. I'm going to read you some of his I'm going to read you right here from a draft specialist. I'm going to read you some of his strengths here. At the top, at the very top, the very first bullet point. Kel, do you know what I'm going to say? Team captain with NFL size and long arms. The literal first bullet point. Team captain. The dude didn't play a freaking more than 3 games this past season. Team
Yeah,
captain.
he was
With NFL
injured
size and
in
speed.
October. They talked about it on the
Yep.
OTP. It was October that he went out.
Yep. NFL scouts say he is wired the right way for pro football. He attacks blocks near the line. He closes quickly and snuffs out action. This is the best one. Rarely misses as a tackler once he's in the area. He loves to hit people, and he loves to hit people hard. You go watch him play at Penn State. He hits people. Like, we have not had somebody on this roster that likes to hit people like this dude likes to hit people. He's going to come up and hit somebody. He might hurt himself in the process, but he is going to lay somebody out on the field. But again, Why did he fall so far? The injury, and he's got some mechanical things he needs to work on, which he can be coached with one of the better secondary coaches in the NFL, Denard Wilson, who is on our freaking coaching staff, who can get this guy wired and ready to play. Probably not year one. He'll get some snaps here and there. Like, he will play a little bit. But really, I think
he'll be blitzing a little bit.
That's another 2026, 2027 guy.
Yeah, he's a talent, leader, and
plus
potential
great pick too for us because we brought in Xavier Woods as well, so we're not expecting him to come out here and start.
Yeah, he's not going to start day one.
And like you said, he got the injury, but keep in mind he just ran his 40 like 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
He should be ready to go by the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
he ran a 4.5,
and he just tore his ACL. He just tore his ACL.
He ran a 4.5, but in the first 10 yards, it was a 1.5, which is like top.
Yeah,
like that's so that means his burst is still really good, even after a not short, but after a good amount of time now off of that injury.
See. March, February, January, December, November. I mean, it's barely been it's been like 7 months since he tore his ACL, and dude
he's got his burst
full
back.
Sprints. Are we serious? Like, this is crazy. This is like not non-human things that are happening in this guy's body. Like, this is insane.
I mean, we made the point whenever we were doing the draft night too that Nick Saban had this guy potentially as a first rounder right before the injury, and Barganza came out and said they had him kind of more top end second round. But to see, that's one of those where I don't think Rand makes this kind of pick if he was still here. I'm not gonna lie. This is, they talked about it all the time. They talked about it all the time after the draft too. You play the board, right? You look at your board, you have your guys you want. You got your group of 5 there that you're at 35. You say, hey, one of these guys might be there at 82 if we trade back, plus we get a top 100 pick, and he's there. And you knocked it out the park. Because like Roller said, I mean, he's fast. He hunts people. I mean, this is something that, safety is a position that we pretty much kind of struggled in, consistently. So hopefully that can be a good guy for us.
I'll make one more point. He only was at Penn State for 3 seasons. His freshman year, he actually got on the field. We're talking about a defensive masterclass of a school. James Franklin does not put true freshmen on the field. This dude was playing in games as a true freshman. He comes out his sophomore year as an all Big Ten honor as a sophomore. His first year as the starter. And then this year, his third season, his junior, is when he had his injury. But the dude played so good as a sophomore, the only year that he put tape on the field and on video secured him enough to be a third-round draft pick, even with the injury. Like, that's insane to think about. Like, that is insane. That's bizarre.
And I'm pretty sure he's 22.
He's 21. He actually is 21.
He's young.
Yes, he is so young. He's unbelievably
I'm so
young.
excited about this pick. So excited.
The only reason I know that is because I just saw his birthday. His birthday is December 2nd. So he's going to be 21 for a while here.
So to keep going along here, I'm going to hit the next 3 at the same time, and I'm probably going to take one of them. Drew, I'm going to let you take one of them because you know more about them, and I'm going to let Austin take the last one. But ladies and gentlemen, don't fear. We finally have people that are willing to take pass catchers before we get to the 12th round. So, with that being said, we picked at 103, 120, and 136. That's going to be wide receiver out of Florida, Chimere Dike, who I'll let Drew speak on in a minute. Tight end, Gunnar Helm out of Texas, which I'll cover a little bit. And then we'll have Austin take wide receiver out of Stanford, Alec Io Manor. Really excited about all 3 of these picks and the value that we're getting and kind of how they fit into what we've been trying to draft. And so, Drew, I'll let you start it off with Chimere Dike out of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, dude's a burner, right? I mean, you see it on film, you go back, watch it. This dude stretches the field vertically. Bergonzi and all them talk about it like this dude is just going to be running past people. Obviously, has some drops and stuff like that, but I mean, when you have Graham Mertz throwing you the ball for most of your career, that's going to happen.
I think majority of those 2 were like Wisconsin, so he seemed to get better at that when he went to Florida.
But people, I get it. He's a really good. I mean, I'm pretty sure he ran like 4.39, 4.3. I mean, in the 4.3 somewhere.
He's got wheels.
But so he has the deep, vertical ability. But where he thrives the most and how he thrived the most in the Florida offense is the middle crossers. He's a middle cross guy, deep middle cross, post, action, that kind of stuff. He's also really good in motion. We use him in motion a lot. And another one thing that's big for us, returner. He did both kick return and punt return. And especially in the Bergonzi, we talked about it too. That's a guy that he just catches the ball and he just finds a way to get upfield.
And Drew, what's the other thing we've been talking about that's on the list?
Jaquan Jackson's a bum and he can't be catching our punts.
No. I'm saying about
I was not
DK,
expecting that, but yes.
Jim DK is a certain type of person, and we are pinpointing on these people, and he is a high character leader. He just is. He makes an impact in his community that he's in, and that's.
Now, don't get me wrong. Where we picked him at, I think we could have got him a couple spots back.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think, the fact that we hit him and hit the next guy we're going to talk about too is knocked out of the park by Borgonzi and the team. But as far as DK goes, man, I mean, he's also a really hard worker. I mean, he's a guy that can come in and put the work in. He's not an ego guy either. And dude, and he has yak ability, man. He catches that ball in that middle crosser, and you give him space, he's gone. So I love that pick.
He kind of strikes me as like a little bit taller and lengthier, like Mecole Hardman. Like the way that the Chiefs like to use him with that top end speed, put him over the middle. Dude, I'll never forget. I was at the Chiefs-Titans game that we actually won the year that we went to the AFC Championship game, but we beat them at home in our baby blues. I'll never forget it. But Patrick Mahomes threw a stupid jump pass, and Mecole Hardman caught it and splits two of our defenders and takes off for like 60 yards, cribbed it. And so I've seen things like that on Chimray's tape,
I'm telling you,
so it's just exciting.
Get ready to watch it because this is going to be how it's going to be all season if we use him this way, and who knows? Because I think he's kind of like the same. I think he's the same position as like Calvin, that type of receiver. But I'm telling you, you line them both up on the same side. You go one vertical, one deep crosser. You run them off each other, man. It's going to be so hard to defend those two guys.
Yep. It's really exciting. And with that, we'll move on to a pick that I really loved because I've been watching Texas quite a bit for the last few years. But I like this a lot because of a few things I'm going to say about him. This was tight end Gunnar Helm out of Texas. And, he is a do-it-all tight end. I mean, he will get in there and block for you, but that's not what he's known for. This guy is a pass catcher. And maybe aside from just a little bit of nuanced route running that I think he'll learn, because he is a good route runner, but he will get better at these things in the NFL. He reminds me of the type of player that a Travis Kelce is, or
he's the broke man's Travis Kelce.
He is. He's a little bit of a Mark Andrews. Like he's kind of bigger. He's not gonna. Not gonna just blow you away with speed, but he's that big target, and he's gonna catch. The dude's got hands. Like
60 catches last year. 30 of them were for first downs.
Yes, he makes great contested catches. Half his catches last season were for first downs. He's a security blanket, which is great because I think we have another one that people aren't talking about. But he's going to be a security blanket, and he is athletic enough to get over the middle and run those. He ran quite a few crossers, even if you go back and look at that Michigan game last year. He had a touchdown and something else on some 20-ish yard kind of, I don't know, I guess it was more of like a seam almost, but seam crosser over the middle tight end stuff that we really haven't seen much of since Tannehill was around, or even before that with Delaney did a lot of that. But really excited about him. He's got great hands, got good size, and we're beating a dead horse here, but I think he was a captain, can't remember or not, but I know he's a guy of high character. And when Gunnar said this himself, he felt like he was a big reason that their culture changed. He said Texas was a little bit of a mess when they got there, and he and Ewers and some guys stepped up and they were real leaders and turned that whole program around. And so again, it just falls under that core foundational pieces that we're looking for that also have really high upside. So really excited about it. So
if we're talking winners and losers from this draft, one of the biggest losers towards the top is Chig Okonkwo at this point. Like, I mean, the dude, I don't think Gunnar Helm comes in and starts this season as a rookie, but Chig comes up on he probably gets
more playing time than Wiley in my opinion.
He's close.
He's
very close to starting this year.
Yeah, because Chig is too bad in the run blocking department. Like you have to be. It's like I sent a message earlier this week. It's like the tight end position has evolved so much. You got to be a threat in the pass game, but you still have to be able to block a little bit, and that's Chig's problem.
And I do think Helm will come in and be the most. What am I trying to say? He'll be the most, well-rounded tight end of our group after a little bit once he gets his feet under him. So excited about that. The next one at 136, we picked up wide receiver Alec Iomanner from Stanford.
Absolute knockout of the park.
Yeah.
This is a steal.
I mean, this is a dude
for him, by the way.
Yeah, this is a dude that was not supposed to be here. I mean, this is a dude that was rated, depending on whose mocks and big boards you were watching. I mean, this is a top 10 wide receiver in the class. Steve Smith, actually, who I respect a lot because he is one of the greater wide receivers to play
He
in
knows
the
his
National
stuff.
Football League. Hit him like 6 or 5. So like the dude has a lot of potential, right?
Big, quick,
Big.
Like big catch radius.
He does have that. He's 6. I have it right here. He's 6'2". He's 206 pounds. So he ran a 4.4440. So like he can move.
That's quick for a
he
big
can
dude.
move. Yeah, I mean he's a big body. I mean, he's a big dude that runs fast. He's really good at blocking. He's young as well. He's only 21. And so I think we're seeing a lot of things and a lot of certain characteristics with these players we drafted. One of them being young players that have the potential to develop into being really good starters and players. And then obviously the leadership stuff. And another thing too, it's just speed, overall speed. Every person that we drafted at every position has speed. And that is, I mean, it's the same here. It's funny because I know Brandon's going to watch this, but this is somebody that I was telling Brandon about when we were talking about before the draft. And Brandon was saying something about like he's like, okay, I'm actually really happy we got this guy, and he might be the steal of the draft for the Titans.
Yeah,
So
dude, I was watching some of his tape, bro. He makes so many contested catches. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's your guy, and he was that guy at Stanford to throw it up and go get it.
Yeah, and if Titans fans, if you have any doubt about what his potential abilities are, let me go and freshen up your YouTube timeline. Just go type in Alec Iomanor highlights against Colorado and see what he did against the Heisman Trophy winner and second overall pick in the draft that we will be playing twice a year. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that to Travis every time, but he lit him up. It was 13 catches, 294 yards, and I think 3 touchdowns.
it was something crazy.
He pieced him up that whole
And
game.
snagged the game winner on it too.
I mean, it was a game.
That's what he does.
Well, also
he
one
snags
thing
on people. He's a
one thing
contested
before we
catch
move
guy.
on him. This is one thing I want to bring up that Tic Tac brought up as soon as we picked him. This was a finesse move by Mike Barganzi. Obviously, we trade up to get him, right? We send to the Ravens, I believe it was. We said, hey, we're gonna go 5 spots up in the 5th round to get your pick, right? We'll do a pick swap there, and then I think it was we move 5 spots back in the 6th, so they move 5 spots back up at the 6th. Pretty much is how that trade went down. And Tic Tac,
Yeah, we were
said,
at
he was like,
178, and we
he was
ended
like,
up
he
with
was surprised
183.
why in the world the Ravens even took that trade. You're sliding back 5 spots in a round that has more potential and sliding 5 spots further in a round that you have less potential in. So he's like, the fact that trade even went through was a finesse. And plus you get to pick a guy that should have been taken and arguably
The
top
third.
or pretty much bottom in middle third. It's going to probably be he's my number 1 guy out of the receivers and everybody else, or obviously the receiver. We took 2 receivers. He's the one out of the 2 that I think is immediately going to start day 1. I think he has that potential with the group that we have. Obviously Traylon being inconsistent and not available at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a very good chance of being there on the field come day 1.
Yeah, I think so too. I love it. I'm very excited about that and the potential that's there. With these last 3, this will be 1 5th and 2 6th here. We're not going to know as much about them, but from what I'm hearing and from what little I've seen of each of them, they all seem like pretty solid or can be pretty solid value picks. Starting with one that I had some question marks about until I looked into it a little further, but in the 5th round, that's going to be a guard who also has had some time at center, which is good for us because we don't know kind of where Kush is at right now in his process, but Jackson Slater out of Sacramento State, and really I think he got drafted because of his Senior Bowl performance. I mean, he's got some good tape out there, but
He's a
really held
mammoth,
his own
too,
in
by
a
the
lot of
way.
those one-on-ones,
He's a big
which are
dude.
tough. Listen, one-on-ones are tough against offensive linemen. To just go straight up one-on-one against some random pass rushers in a Senior Bowl environment is tough, and he held his own. He's a big dude. He's kind of like if you think big country in your head, like this is probably what you're picturing. So
Did you
but
watch
another
his
guy
draft
that's
video? I'm gonna give you all I got. Like that's all you need to know. That's what he.
And I know Austin was happy because he was wearing an Invincible t-shirt.
He was wearing an Invincible T-shirt for all the Invincible fans out
But
there.
also, I was watching Taylor Lewan and the boys on there on Bus with the Boys. They had a draft recap, I guess, where they did an episode with Delaney, and they brought this guy up. And Taylor Lewan and Will Compton both said that they love when teams take guards from small FCS schools because they're just dogs. They wanted to they'll put their nose in the dirt. They're going to outwork everybody in that building.
Yep.
They're going to show up and play.
And that's what he sounds like. He's going to be that once he gets into it. You know what he reminds me of actually already, just in his character and personality and the type of. He seems like he's got the smarts to play O-line and stuff like that. Like what he reminds me of, and this is crazy because this is the opposite in terms of where he came from. He reminds me of a Ben Jones. And Ben Jones played at Georgia. And where would we have been in those good years that we had without Ben Jones? We would have been up the creek without a paddle because bro did so much that people don't know about. And he was like,
and it costed him.
Bro probably should. But he was out there playing
He
center.
should have been.
He's got brains now.
God. I saw him in a podcast clip the other day, and I was like, wow. Him forming a sentence is crazy, dude. Like, oh my goodness.
Which is crazy because Derrick Henry said that he learned the most in his career from Ben Jones.
I believe it. Like, I mean, he was good. Like, I mean, that's the thing. He was good.
He was just that guy that was always going to hold you down. So I think he could be that type of caliber player.
I like it when, I think the one concern that people have when you go into the FCS and stuff like that is size. Right, because there's a difference between talent, the talent you're facing, and the size of the players that you're getting, and the size that they're going against. I mean, this dude's like 6'3" or 320 pounds. Like this dude's a big dude. But I think the most important thing here is like he's really good in pass blocking. I didn't see his run blocking statistics, but I mean the dude didn't allow a single sack last year with like 300 plus pass block attempts. So the dude just, I mean, and again, does this translate to another level with some coaching from one of the greatest offensive line coaches ever?
Dude, I know Bill's waiting. He can't wait to get him on that big
you know what I mean? Like this. But again, it's the potential. You know what I mean?
Bertha, baby.
It's the potential. It's another potential pick. The dude is good at pass blocking, and newsflash, we're gonna pass the ball. And if Bill Callahan likes him enough to draft him, I mean, the dude's got potential. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, here I am. This is how I look at it. Any offensive line moves we make, I mean, he's involved somehow. Right, like the Dan Moore thing, signing him to the left tackle for however much money we gave him, like $80 million, something like that. Like led up the most sacks in the league last year at the left tackle position, whatever. If we're signing this dude, this ain't an old regime of just signing whoever we need to sign to fill a spot. This is Bill saying, "Hey, there's stuff here I could fix. This dude's got potential." Right. So, and with his pedigree, Bill Callahan says he wants this guy. That means something.
Yep. So with these next two, we're going to kind of round out our draft players here, but. The next two we both got in the 6th. Of course, we ended up having 183, which was the 5 spots we moved back from 178 with the Ravens. Picked up a pretty solid, I think, role, kind of a depth corner here from California, Marcus Harris. And California is known to have a pretty good defense, so he knows a bit about scheme. And honestly, I have a lot of trust in what Borgonzi's done so far, and probably the input that he has gotten from Coach Denard Wilson. So excited about this. I think it's mainly going to be more depth. I mean, this is not somebody that you're looking like, well, he's going to be a Jarvis Brownlee straight off or something like that, but definitely some depth that I think makes the team for sure.
This is one of those guys that you can start at your gunner position on special teams.
Yes, yeah, definitely with these last two picks for sure, special teams. And I'll go ahead and throw in the next one too, which is funny because he was named after Superman, but you don't say it like this. It is Khalil Mullings.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know Superman's name as Kal-El, but it is Khalil Mullings out of Michigan, which the cool thing about him is he started at linebacker. So
first season at running back.
Yep. Knows what it's like to fill gaps and hit people, but then flip it over on the other side. He was a running back this past season and had like 900 yards and like 12 touchdowns. I'm like, bro is very productive.
He runs angry,
guy like
dude.
that, to me, a guy like that is going to be that replacement that we need for Julius Chestnut, who probably doesn't make it now, in my opinion.
He's your short
and
yardage
what we
guy.
needed with Haskins. He's going to be a special teams guy.
He's your special teams guy. He's your short yards guy because Tajay's too little to be doing all that.
Yep.
Tony's probably, he's our workhorse. So you need that 4th and 1,
yeah,
kind of stuff, goal line stuff. You
really
put that
think
guy in there.
Mullings is going to be the third running back on our 53.
Chestnut's gone. Chestnut's out of here.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but I mean, I like how you said Hassan Haskins. This dude's going to be the Hassan Haskins replacement. I mean, he's going to be on special teams immediately, right? And he's just a better RB3
and probably Harris
over Chestnut
as well.
Yeah, and Harris, but he's going to be a better RB3.
I wouldn't be surprised
over
if we
Chestnut.
put Kevin Winston out there too, get him some reps, right? Get him moving around.
He's going to have to. Like, we don't have the talent on the roster for dudes
Bones,
like that.
Bones going to turn this thing over, bro. He's chomping at the bit to get to work with some of these dudes that we got toward the back end of the draft here. So, okay. what I want to do now, as we're kind of getting toward wrapping up here, I want to potentially just have maybe a guy or two that we thought were some sleepers or your favorite pick or something like that from each of us. And I know nobody's going to say mine, so I'll save mine for last. But
We know who yours is, my man.
I mean, I know y'all know who I'm going to say.
Just go ahead and
Oh,
say
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. Lead it
Yeah,
off.
I can start in a second here, but we'll do that and then kind of talk about what's next for the Titans at this point. So, yeah, for me, honestly, I like what we did with every pick in our draft. The player that I'm going to pick was not picked in the draft. And this is one that we were excited about, and I can't be more excited about it because I've just been like film junkie watching this guy play, and he falls into line with all those other traits that we've talked about, except speed, which obviously was an issue at his pro day. I personally don't think that he runs a 4.8. I think he's a little better than that, but I also don't think it matters as much. He's not an outside guy, but he is the security blanket and the best wide receiver in Miami history now, and that's Xavier Restrepo. He's got great hands. He's a very nuanced route runner, and he has great chemistry with Cam Ward that happened very quickly last year. So I trust that Cam Ward knows what he's talking about when he says the Titans needed to go get this guy. And to me, people are going to devalue him because he was undrafted. But I think that is probably why he's, in my opinion, our biggest steal. Because if you put like a 4.5 40 on him, he's at least third or fourth round based on the tape that he's put out there.
I was kind of shocked he didn't go in the fourth or fifth round. I was kind of shocked. There were a few players that went undrafted.
Surely he's going to go like fifth or sixth round, and then I was like, "What?" And it was, and also with Isaiah Bond. So I don't know if that's off-field stuff or what.
It is
definitely.
That's my guy. I have loved watching his film. I think he is a great pairing with Cam Ward, and I think Tyler Lockett is a perfect person for him to learn from, and be that future slot guy that we need. He's just a dog. He'll do anything you need, and he's a great route runner. So. Xavier Restrepo, that's my guy. I'm excited. I think he makes the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, Summer can attest to this. When James Pierce got drafted by the Falcons when they traded up, I could have thrown up.
You were down.
I could have thrown up.
You were down bad in the chat.
I was praying and hoping that James Pierce fell to us at 35 because I think he was one of the players that if he was there, we weren't going to trade down. You know, I think it depended on, you know, and it was him and Egbuka, and they both went earlier than people thought they would. So,
Egbuka went freaking 19, bro. Yeah. I was crushed.
That was a hurt one too. But you know, James Pierce was gone. That hurt. Love that guy, but Falcons got a steal for sure. But I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense, and I'm going to stick with Winston, Kevin Winston Jr. I think he by far out of all the risk we took for guys with potential. I think he has the potential to be the best out of all those guys. I mean, I think we're talking about a guy that, you know, with some coaching from Denard Wilson and some work on some mechanical things and adjustment to the game speed of the NFL because it is faster. But, I mean, he is speed. I mean, he is speed. He is athleticism. I mean, just fix some things mentally and mechanically. And, I mean, we're looking at someone that after a year or two, he has the potential to be a top 10 safety in the league. I mean, that's just what it is. And we're talking about a guy that Nick Saban was saying this dude is legit. And if Nick Saban thinks he's legit, the dude's legit. And I mean, I just think,
especially secondary. Nick Saban's specialty.
That's his specialty. Like, I mean, we're talking about a guy that has the potential to be a top 10 safety in the league if Denard Wilson can coach him right and he can stay healthy. And that right there alone is just super exciting. And that's why he was my favorite. He was just my favorite. So
yeah, I mean, for me, I'm gonna go honorable mention. I'm gonna go Oladejo because I like we mentioned earlier in the pod. Little bit of a I don't know who this guy is, you know, kind of thing. But I've been interested to go in and watch his film. I haven't done that yet, but I just think, like Roller said earlier, athleticism through the roof, right? Speed through the roof. There's gonna be a guy you just let him play, teach him. He's gonna get probably one of the best defensive players on our team in a couple of years. But for me, I got to go with the position group that we had just struggled with in these past couple of years, and that's going to be Alec Manor. I think that kid is going to come in, like I said earlier, I think he has potential to be a starter just because of Treylon's inability to get on the field. And that's another point that we didn't even bring up, but like if say he does get on the field and produces and has a healthy season, that's even better for us on the receiver room that we drafted these guys. But I mean, ever since AJ, and I mean, we said big 6'2" as a receiver. You can say it's big, say it's not big, whatever, right? But we haven't really had a big contested catch, you know, guy since AJ.
And I think a lot of times when we say big, we're also talking about just that physicality that they play with.
Physicality, wingspan, catch radius. Like he's one of those guys. I
mean, up and get it guy.
He had I was watching his tape. That dude had so many like Odell Beckham-esque catches in the end zone.
Some
it's a
crazy
guy-
one hands. Yeah.
It's
he
a guy
does.
that is very red zone. He produces in the red zone a lot, and that's something that I think that's an area that we struggled at last year with Levis is red zone. And you go back to years of Tannehill and stuff. We were one of the best red zone teams whenever we had like a AJ and a big tight end and all this other kind of stuff. So he's going to be mine. And I mean, to round it all out, like we were saying earlier, don't have division or bust expectations for this next year.
Don't have Commanders or bust, division or bust.
I think 6 or 7 is respectable. Especially it comes down to how we start. If we start how we started last year, I think Callahan is burned and gone, which I hope does not happen. If you can win 6 games, 7 games, and they all be competitive, you're only losing by a couple points or a touchdown or so, and you're showing that you're making strides in the right direction in all 3 phases of the game, I think you have to count this year as a win. Because one thing that we didn't mention on through this draft, yes, we made trades, especially in the 3rd, 4th, 5th-esque rounds, but we managed to make those trades, and we didn't give up any picks in 2026 or 2027, which is massive.
Huge.
I think my prediction, or like my expectation, not prediction, but expectation, just looking at the schedule. I don't know if y'all looked at the schedule.
No.
They're supposed to do a full schedule review or reveal, I think early May. So just
May
like
10th,
next week. But just looking at the schedule, like not in, specifically week by week, but just looking at it, man, it's a tough schedule. I can't lie to you. It is a very, very tough schedule. I'll just read the teams we have to play to you really fast. So our home games are Houston, obviously, the Texans. I think that's a loss. I think the Colts, I think we can beat them. I think we can beat Jacksonville. We play the Chargers at home. I think that's a loss. We play Kansas City at home. I think that's a loss. We play New England at home. Vrabel coming back. I think we can win that game. I think it'll be a dogfight, I think we can win. The Rams at home, I think it's a loss. The Saints at home, I think we can win that game. Seattle at home, I think we can win that game. And then the away games are at Houston. I think that's a loss. At Indianapolis, we always seem to split with Indianapolis. No matter how much better we are than them, I think that's a loss. I think we go to Jacksonville. I think that's a loss.
We suck at Jacksonville.
We suck at them. And then we have to go to Arizona. I think we can win that game. We go to Denver. That's a loss. We go to Cleveland. I think we can win that game. Then we go to San Francisco. That's a loss. And then we go to Vegas, the Raiders. That's a win. That should be a win. So, I don't think it's as hard of a schedule as it was last year. Our schedule last year was tough. Playing the Bills, the Lions, those were games that you were losing from the get-go. But, the Chargers and the Chiefs, there were some tough games, man. And we got to play the Eagles again.
We did beat the Chargers last year.
Man, and you got to play
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Are we playing the Eagles at home?
No, we play them in Philly. It's a loss. You might as well go ahead and put it on their schedule. It's a loss.
Has AJ come back to Nashville? Well, they haven't played us here, have they?
I don't think so. But that's a loss.
He would get a standing ovation.
Oh, he would. I would wear this AJ Brown jersey.
Yeah,
I will go no shame and cheer him the whole time. But it's a tough schedule. I think I think at the absolute floor, I think we're a better team than we were last year. I think 5 games is the floor. I think if you win 1 game more than last year, our roster's not that good, guys. Again, this is a multi-year rebuild. So I think 5 wins is the floor. I think 8 wins is your max. I think you can maybe squeeze another win or 2 out somewhere that you didn't expect to, because it is the NFL. Anything can happen.
Which, if you go 8 wins, I mean, you're probably fighting and scrapping potentially for that very, very last wild card, maybe.
Yep.
If you're lucky.
There's potential.
But yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. I know my last thing here was just kind of what's next for the Titans. Obviously, there's still going to be some roster construction going on. We're signing some undrafted free agent guys that started with Restrepo, and there was a few others that I don't know off the top of my head, but going to be figuring that out. And then we have rookie minicamp coming up in less than 2 weeks. So it'll be good to see Cam and those guys that we just talked about get out there and start to click with each other and learn the offense and learn the defense, all these things. And then we move into OTAs with everybody toward the end of May. I mean, so we're within a legit month of real football stuff, and then really start to kick things up when we get into June and July before preseason and all that in training camp. So that's where we're at.
In the next 2 months, we're officially in the overreaction stage.
Yeah.
Right. You're about to be seeing so many videos coming from rookie minicamp, OTAs, all these passes these quarterbacks are throwing against air, no defense, by the way, saying that all these guys are going to be generational and all this other kind of stuff. So it's overreaction.
I just want to see him in the uniform at this point.
We'll probably do it too. we'll probably do it too.
That's how it goes. I'm excited to just see these guys, what numbers they pick. Obviously, we know Cam's probably going to be one or is going to be one.
Tyler
but
Lockett went number 4.
Yeah, I saw that. Because Traylon's already got 16, which could change, I guess, if Traylon doesn't stay on the team. But anyway, excited to just see them in Titans uniforms and get going. Again, if you like what we're talking about, if you're here sticking around listening still, just hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let you know when we post. Hopefully we'll be more consistent here coming up. Definitely will be during the season, but hit that like button, give us a shout out, a little comment, tighten up, whatever you want down in the little Duval down in the comment section there, and we'll make sure to give you a thumbs down on that one. That's where we're at. It's exciting. It's way more exciting to be here than when it was at the end of the season. I know we were just trying to get through those episodes. That was awful because we were so bad.
It was hard. It was hard to get on here every week. I mean, and as everyone can expect, it was hard to sit down and talk about the same issues with Will Levis. And I mean, at the end of the day, if we lose a bunch of games just like last year, and we only win 5 to 6 games, which again should be the expectation, right? That should be the expectation. But we're Titans fans, so a lot of people aren't going to do that, right? I consider that a win. I consider that a win especially when you look at our roster and again building for the future.
Yep.
It's exciting. Even if we win 5 to 6 games, I'm still excited for the season because it feels like we have some real talent on the field.
And competition, knowing that your young core players that you've drafted and now are starting to build around are producing. And that comes along with the continuation of your coaching staff. If we do that, Callahan's going to stick around, which I think we all want. And so that's where we're at this point. So the Borgonzi era is officially underway with his first draft. He's going to be bringing in his own scouts now. I saw that was the case. So
yeah, they're doing a lot of personnel changes right now.
A lot of personnel changes that we'll be finding out here in the next few days and weeks. But there's a lot to be excited about. Just don't go crazy on yourself. We'll try our best not to.
Titans fans also see a lot of local media as well, but a lot of fans getting mad about some of these personnel people were letting go because they've been with the team for 20-something years, for 15 years, for 10 years. And it's like the personnel, it's personnel, it's front office people, but it's also the same thing of like, if you've been here as personnel, if you've been here as a scout, if you've been here as a such and such, helping the team do this, do that. And we've still, other than 2 years, we sucked. Yeah. It's time to flip it over and get a new. It doesn't just start with the players. It starts with everybody in the building.
Yeah, let me just ask you this question. Like, as much as I'm all for loyalty and keeping your people around, you have to take other things into account. And this being a business that is reliant on producing wins, that's what you have to look at. Let me ask you, how many Super Bowls has this organization won?
0.
I hate to be that frank, but the answer is 0.
1 yard
something
away.
has to continue to change. What?
I said a couple yards away, but
yeah, I mean, we were 2 yards away 20 something years ago, and we were a missed Patrick Mahomes tackle away, in my opinion, a few years ago.
Rashawn Evans
So
is in that snake.
shout out Rashawn Evans. But that's where we are. We appreciate everybody sticking with us through this. Hopefully, continue watching. I know we just like sitting down talking ball and finally have some exciting things to talk about. So that's going to be it for me. It's always tighten up and a lot of good things looking forward.